The Galactic Council had long prided itself on its ability to govern the vast and diverse species scattered throughout the universe. From the crystalline beings of Velvax Prime to the multi-limbed, hyper-intelligent Iraq, the Council had encountered and cataloged countless forms of life. Each species had its own strengths and weaknesses, but none had ever surprised the Council in the way that humanity had. It began with a report from Sector Zeta-12, a small human colony, barely 300 souls strong, had been established on the desert planet of Tarsus IV, a harsh, barren world where the sun blazed with such intensity that even the most resilient species would collapse within hours. The temperatures reached nearly 160 degrees Celsius during the planet's day cycle. No race, no matter how advanced, could endure the searing heat for long. At least, that was what the galactic experts believed. A routine survey mission was dispatched to the colony by the Galactic Council's investigation team. The humans had set up automated infrastructure to monitor the planet's conditions, but there had been no communication for several days. A team of 7 was sent, led by Commander Orcs, a towering Zalnaram with a reputation for being cool-headed in the most perilous of situations. Upon arrival at Tarsus IV's orbit, Orcs' ship began to encounter strange anomalies. The temperature readings on the surface were fluctuating wildly, even outside the expected range for this desert world. As the survey ship descended, the crew could see what appeared to be several large structures, buildings, standing tall against the horizon. Yet they were not what the team had expected. The human colony was thriving. Commander Orcas's brow furrowed. The readings from their initial scans didn't make sense. The colony had been established to research the extreme conditions of the planet and determine whether it could be used for future colonization. But it seemed as though the human settlers had somehow survived. Upon landing, the team was met by a representative of the human colony, a man named Captain Jax, whose tanned skin bore the faint scars of long years under the relentless sun. His clothing was minimal, designed specifically for the heat, yet it seemed to offer no protection from the sun's deadly rays. But to Orcas's shock, the man was perfectly composed, not a single bead of sweat on his brow. "How have you survived here?" Orcas demanded, his voice reverberating through the speakers of his helmet. "Human resilience," Captain Jax replied simply, his tone calm. "We've adapted." Orcas was not easily impressed, but he felt a cold sensation creeping over his skin, an unfamiliar feeling of unease. The temperature outside the craft was unbearable, yet the humans had managed to thrive in this unrelenting heat. He glanced around, noting the vast arrays of solar collectors, water condensers, and temperature-controlled domes scattered across the colony. The ingenuity was undeniable, but this was not the answer he sought. "How have your people withstood the heat?" Orcas repeated. "No species should be capable of enduring such conditions." Jax led the team through the colony's streets, pointing out various areas where human technology had created life-supporting habitats. The buildings were made from a special kind of heat-resistant alloy, and the air inside each structure was carefully regulated to maintain a livable temperature. But it wasn't just the technology, it was the people themselves. As they walked through the colony, Orcos saw the humans working tirelessly, never once faltering under the intense heat. They carried out their duties, as though the temperature didn't even affect them. They seemed unaffected, almost unnatural in their endurance. "This is impossible," Orcos muttered under his breath. Captain Jax smiled slightly. "We've learned to control our bodies in ways that other species haven't. We've developed specialized cooling systems within our bodies, and our skin now secretes a protective fluid that shields us from the sun's rays. We've also learned to manage our internal temperature through a combination of physical and mental training." Orcos stared at him, disbelieving. "How is that possible?" Jax turned and led him to a small training area near the center of the colony. The humans had developed a regimen, part physical, part mental, that had allowed them to adapt. There, several human settlers were undergoing intense training exercises. Some were running through the blistering heat, while others were meditating under the direct rays of the sun. Orcos could hardly believe his eyes. It wasn't just technology, nor was it just brute force. It was something more. "These are no ordinary humans," Jax continued. "We've unlocked the potential within us, is not about survival. It's about embracing the challenge and pushing the boundaries of what we can achieve. Our bodies have become far more resilient than you could have ever imagined. Orcos was stunned. This was not just a species that had survived the most hostile environment imaginable. This was a species that had turned their greatest weakness into their strength. Back aboard the Council's flagship, a tense meeting was being held. The Galactic Council had convened in response to the shocking news of humanity's capabilities. Representatives from hundreds of species sat around the large, circular table, their many eyes fixed on the human delegation. "What we have learned today is both remarkable and troubling," began Grand Chieftain Nagar of the Iraq. "These humans have done what none of us thought possible. They have transformed themselves into a species that thrives in the harshest of environments." "I find it disturbing," said Zornak of the Velvax, his crystalline voice echoing through the room. "We've studied extreme climates for millennia, but never have we encountered a species that not only survives them, but masters them." "We must understand their methods," said Alexandran, turning to Orcos. "This could have profound implications for the future of our galaxy. If they can survive such conditions, what else can they endure?" Commander Orcos remained silent, deep in thought. He was not just amazed by the humans' physical endurance, but by their mental fortitude. Where other species would have given up, they had persevered. Where others had fled, they had thrived. Humanity had not simply adapted to extreme conditions, they had redefined what it meant to survive. The implications were clear. The humans were a force to be reckoned with. Their resilience, their unwillingness to give in, would make them invaluable allies or formidable enemies. As the council deliberated, Orcos couldn't help but wonder what the future held for humanity. They had only just begun to show their potential, and already the galaxy was reeling. Human endurance had stunned the Galactic Council, and it was only the beginning.